Today we welcome Tanika Lala to the podcast. Tanika is a young attacking sensation from the Goldfield regions of Western Australia who has quickly risen through the ranks to become one of the top scorers in the NPLW-WA. Her all-action, powerful and pacey style has led her to be invited to a trial with a prestigious top club in Scotland and earn her first ALeague women contract with her home state's only pro side in Perth Glory. With her blend of pace, control, and an eye for goal, we are thrilled to be here with Tanika discussing her amazing journey. Welcome.
Thank you guys for having me.
It's good to see you. So, Tanika Lala, from the Goldfields of WA to the A-League women, how good, eh?
Yeah, it's a big difference. But yeah, it's a journey that I'm loving so far.
So when I spoke to you last season, you were talking about how you were always running outside at recess at primary school to go play football. So tell us a bit more about those days and your experiences as a girl playing at primary school.
Well, yeah, I'd always be playing soccer or football, whatever you like to call it, at recess. I was one of the boys, you would say. And yeah, I just played every day. And if I wasn't there, everyone would be like, "Where were you, Tanika?" You know, it was such a norm for me to be there all the time. And yeah, just loved it every time. So yeah, that's all. I just love playing football and yeah.
I think many people don't appreciate just how hard it is for any footballer, even more so a female footballer from the Goldfields, to not only get noticed as a footballer, but also then to break through into the Perth metro scene as well. Obviously, the geography is part of it, but there were all sorts of other reasons as well. So what were the sort of biggest challenges that you faced, and how you overcome them to sort of get to where you are now?
While I was still in Kalgoorlie, I was in this kind of program, and a guy actually told me I should trial for NTC, and I had no idea what NTC was. And my dad did his research, and we drove down, so it's a 7-hour drive. We went there, I trialed, and the coach Ben and the team was impressed, and he wanted to offer me a full-time spot, but I said I was still in Kalgoorlie, because I just said I can only do associate, which means you're not actually part of the club, but you just train. So I was still in Cal. I finished my year 12 studies. And so maybe 3 times a month I would drive down and train for a couple of days, and then I'd go back. I couldn't do it too much times because, it's being year 12. You need to focus on your studies. It's your last year in school. So yeah, that's what I did, and that's probably one of the biggest challenges. Not actually being a part of the team, but going there, kind of being a little awkward and shy. But everyone was very welcoming. But when I did actually make the move, I was far off technically, I would say, because being in Perth, you have all these academies and stuff, and you'd be much more advanced. And for me to catch up, I'd have to practice basically every day. So yeah, I'd say that was probably my biggest challenge.
So just for the people sort of listening or watching outside of Australia for this, the NTC is effectively like an underage state rep team, isn't it, effectively?
Yeah, so I think there's 4 different age groups, 12s, 14s, 15s, and when I was there, 19s. I think it's 18s now. Yeah, so you'd say it's kind of a pathway it is a pathway for national identification. So all the national teams will look at you, and that's all across Australia. They'll have this NTC. So they have a lot of ones around Australia, and there's actually a tournament where we actually verse each other, and that's probably the biggest identification type of thing you would have.
So
yeah.
When you were going down to Perth as part of the NTC program from Kalgoorlie, how many non-Perth based players were there? Was it just you, or there were some others?
I think there was only one more. It was Violet Longmore.
Yeah.
She came from Margaret River. Yeah. So I think it was just us 2.
Yeah, which again, that just emphasises just how hard that journey is, but also, just how much both you and Violet have had to overcome and how good you are to have got noticed in effect in that respect.
Yeah, it was a lot of help, with the coaches. You have so much more staff in that kind of program. coming from Kalgoorlie, there's only just one person. And it's hard. You can't really focus individually, but when you're in that kind of environment, you have those staff, and then they can actually nurture you and help you grow as a player.
So I would imagine probably the vast majority of people that will be watching or listening to this may not have seen you play. I've been very lucky to see you play a couple of times in person, but also quite often on the internet. I mean, you've got this incredible combination of pace and physicality that makes you such a handful. I think it was obvious sort of a couple of years ago that, to me anyway, that you were going to be an A-League player just because of those attributes that you had. I mean, how did you develop all that? Because lots of players have got pace, but not necessarily pace and power at the same time, physicality.
I think I'll just say it's genetics, I think. I can't really say much to that, but I only started going gym when I was in Perth, really, because we didn't have that kind of saying to go to gym in Kalgoorlie, so I only started coming when I was in Perth, and you would say I was kind of chubby, so maybe that built up into that strong kind of physique, but I'll just say gym was probably a factor going into that as well. So,
I mean, you had a really successful time with the senior NTC team, who were then under 19 and now under 18. Part of a team that you got to finals 2 years in a row. You got to State Cup final and all that. But let's talk a minute about Ben Anderton, because he's a massively respected figure in sort of the WA women's game. You tell us a bit about him and sort of how he helped your development, and then that incredible team that you had in sort of 2022 and 2023 as well.
I would say Ben Anderton has played a big role in my development, I would say. Coming down, I actually came down as a midfielder, and he's created a striker. So that's, and he just, when I initially went, I didn't really have any hopes of getting in. But he told me, he saw that potential. And he said I had zero ball awareness when I first got there. And leaving, you could see how much growth that I had. And I could praise him all day because he's such an amazing person, not only a coach, but a person. Yeah. And he's just equal in all parts. He will know how to coach a team and be firm, but also have that really friendly side as well. So I would say he's a 10 out of 10 coach in my opinion. And I definitely think he has, he actually got his A license. So hopefully one day he's going to be a coach for A-League, and I would definitely be like, hey Ben, if you want me, I would love to play under you again. But yeah, definitely the way he plays, his identity, and he just loves to play football, which I really love. Yeah. I think
the thing that I always love personally about watching his teams is the way that, there's the whole playing out from the back thing, and regardless of, what may or may not go wrong, but also, I mean, the sort of the passing the triangular passing movements that he has, some of you guys playing, and, some of the players in that team are 14 or 15 years old, going up against, experienced players, 28, 29, 30 that have played A-League women. And it's just incredible to watch you guys play over the last couple of years in that team.
Yeah, it was, even sometimes I was just standing, because I'm a 9 obviously, and I'm watching that happen, them playing out, and sometimes you're just like, wow, I'm chuffed, Like you said, they're young girls versus grown, experienced women. And that just goes to show what kind of coach he is, and also the players in the program as well. Not only for the spectators, it's lovely for me to watch as well.
So, I mean, we kind of touched about sort of the age range of that team and the fact that they're going up, 21 weeks in the league season, plus into finals or night series, so that's like 25 weeks of the year. You've got players aged 14 to 19 or 18 now going up against experienced A-League women players. So, I mean, physically and mentally, I mean, how hard is that?
It's hard. You have to, sometimes you can depend on yourself, on your own abilities and your own physicality to get past a player. And now being really small and fragile. You have to think, okay, how can I beat this team? You have to use your players. You have to be moving off the ball and have the right timing, because they're going to be much faster than you. So that's a lot of thinking going into it. But I think it's really good for especially young girls like that to bring them up, and that's how Ben got 7 players in his team last year to get ALeague contracts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just goes to show that, you know, having people who wouldn't necessarily, okay, they're just going to enter these players, but it actually allows them to think. You know what I mean? It improves them as players.
Yeah, I mean, you just sort of watching. I mean, even this season, when obviously the cohort's very different, and the results are maybe not quite as consistent as they were, there's still that same ethos, and the way that they're playing is still there, regardless of the fact that results aren't as positive as they were over the last couple of years as well.
Yeah, and the identity will always stay the same. You already know NTC, no matter what the result is, or if they're winning, they're losing, they'll stay true to that identity and still play out and still try to play football. Because as Ben always says, we can win, but if we don't play good football, it's not a good game for him. If we play good football and we lose, he's like, doesn't matter what the result is, as long as we play good football, he's happy with that.
Yes, I mean, I would say anyone, whether you're watch or listen to this in Australia or overseas, if you get on streamer.com.au generally on a Sunday, you can watch all the NPL women's games live or on demand, and just check out the NTC, because, you know, for a team of such young players, it's incredible what they do and what they come up against. So, what were your proudest moments then in that team over sort of 2022, 2023? Because a lot of good things happened, didn't it?
Oh yeah, a lot of memories I can pick from. Maybe my happiest moment in NTC was probably that last minute goal against Perth. Was to get into the semi-finals, I think. And it was a late game, and we went into extra time, and Ben actually told me, you're going to score. You need to score. I'm counting on you to score. Well, I don't know, like 30 seconds later I scored. So, yeah, I think that was a really happy moment. Yeah, I'll say that's probably my favorite. Yeah, Ben just having the belief in me always.
So then last year as well, there was a call up from Leah Blaney as well for you, and from Grace Johnston. Obviously was with you at NTC at that time, and was with you at Perth Glory last year. So how was that? You know, what did that teach you again about what you need for the next level above where you were?
Yeah, when I first went, it was my first year in NTC. You could just imagine how happy and stoked I was, but it was also a huge eye-opener of what level I need to be, technically, physically. And yeah, it's a good benchmark for me to know how much I needed to work throughout the years. So yeah. But yeah, every single person there was just like mind-blowing. I was like, wow, every single person here is just so good. And I just knew that I want to keep on going back, because I know this is where I want to be, surrounded by all these players. That's what I keep striving to do, keep working hard so I can get another call up. Because, yeah, the environment's so professional, intense, and that's the only way you can improve and reach the highest level, is being surrounded by those players.
And I guess as well, if we're sort of pumping the WA flag here as well, it's always so much harder for everyone on the West Coast to break in as well, regardless of, you know, I mean, obviously you've had it from the Goldfields, then having to get into the sort of the Perth Metro scene. But I mean, not only are there so many more clubs on the East Coast, you know, the clubs are that bit closer together, and all the coaching staff are over there as well, which is historically is why we lose so many of our players. So I mean, how does that all factor in as well?
Yeah, it's hard. You know, they're having all the eyes on them. You know, I think you just have to really, really set aside yourself from everybody else and really kind of shine if you really need to get noticed. It's really hard to get noticed because I know I know a lot of girls in WA, obviously, playing football, and only a few got chosen. So that goes to show how hard it is. If you look at the stats, what 3 WA players compared to, the rest of the team is down there. And it's kind of just the system. I think WA is definitely improving, but it's a big difference compared to the East States, like football-wise as well. I've seen how the football, I would say, is a lot better there, but WA is also good as well. And I think maybe expanding the scouts, or I don't know, but there's so much talent here. I know. I've seen it for myself. Even in regional towns, I don't know if you know about Country Week, is where all the regional towns go and play in Perth. And the talent and potential I see there, and I know they could represent like junior Matildas per se, but they don't have the eyes on them, which is unfortunate.
And also as well from the perspective, I guess from a European perspective, I think people just don't realise the sheer size of WA either. The fact that it's pretty much the same size as mainland Europe. There's that as well. So there's so many things in a way that sort of come together to sort of make it ridiculously hard for people from WA before you then factor everything else in as well, I guess.
Yeah. And it's weird to think, you'd think WA would be the biggest, being the biggest state. You would think, but no, it's quite the opposite. But, I think it's getting a little bit better. But yeah, still not near where it needs to be.
Yeah. Evie?
Yeah.
So, okay. Around a year ago, you had some trials in Scotland with a few different Premier Division sides. What was that period like for you?
It was surreal for me. It was the first time I traveled alone in a different country. It was amazing. I could see how football's played in a different country. It was really amazing. Everyone was super nice. I was so nervous, as you can imagine. I was 19 still. It was a great experience. The facilities, I was just mind blown about everything. So, it was a really good experience. It showed me where I want to be, what level, if I get to that level, how excited I'm going to be to see, like, how everyone's just so professional, and, it was a great experience.
So then you came back to Australia and you were offered your first ALeague women contract with Perth Glory. How hard was the step up, and how were you supported through it?
It was a hard step up. I had to really work on myself, mentally, physically, to try to match the physicality in Perth Glory. I had to hit the gym a lot more to match the physicality. I would say for me it was probably the most hardest mentally. As you know, not playing as much game as I hoped, but that just allowed me to work harder in the training ground and hopefully get that opportunity. That season, I think I've grown so much as a person and grown so much as a player. And I think coming in the next season, you'll see a total different Tanika Lala.
So you didn't get very many minutes until the end of the season, but at the end of the season, you got your first goal. Can you tell us about that goal?
I couldn't tell you how I felt when I scored that goal. So it was a corner, for the people who don't know. And it was the 90-something minute. Someone headed it, and I played it back to Hannah Lowry. She crossed it. And then Georgia Cassidy reflected the ball, and the ball just laid right in front of me. I was like, I need to go for this right now. And I hit it, and it went in, and it was the best feeling ever. So.
And so how did you leave things at Perth Glory at the end of the season? Are they potentially interested in keeping you for next season?
The coach has said that he would like to keep me and actually potentially use me as a winger or a striker, which is good. But yeah, I'm not confirmed on anything just yet. But yeah, it'll be great to play in purple again.
Well, we're rooting for you. Ben, you got another question?
I have, yeah. That's really made me happy. So thank you. That's good to hear. So we touched before we started recording. We talked about obviously you're now at Fremantle City in the NPL. They're quite a different team to what they had last season. Quite a few sort of changes there, and it's sort of taken a while for them to find their feet. But some things are suddenly starting to happen. It feels there now this year. And so, how have you settled in over at Freo? It's a different team, and I guess the irony of it is it's likely to be, between Freo and the NTC for possibly a spot in the finals this year as well, isn't it?
Yes, very ironic. But I picked Freo. It's actually the furthest team from where I live, so I picked that team. I knew they had potential, and they welcomed me in straight away. They're also kind. The culture there is amazing. Like you said, we did have a slow start, but we're kind of starting to gel more, especially, with me and Abby. We're getting that kind of chemistry. She was at Glory as well, but we didn't actually have the chance to play together. But we actually have that kind of chemistry already straight off the bat, really. So having us really connect with each other and with the midfield, I do think we have a strong chance to get in the top 4 now. And I think, we just got to be consistent against the bottom half of the table. So that's what we struggled at before. So we need to be consistent with the strong teams and the bottom teams.
So that's Abby Green, she's been at Freo for a couple of years, and yeah, you two have been linking up amazingly on that flanks, haven't you, for some of the goals this year already?
Yeah. If you see us in training, you'd be chuffed. No, we just got to put it in the game now. But yeah, me and Abby work really well together.
That's great.
Hey, Tanika, Denise here. I love how switched on and how confident you are. I can tell something's going on with you. It's very, very cool. So how would you, to people who don't know you, how would you describe yourself as a footballer?
I would say I can be unpredictable. I like to play kind of that tiki-taka if I have the people around me. I'm not scared to take a shot outside the 18. I like to use my body feints a lot. I can use both feet, so that's good as a striker. I used to kind of depend on my speed, but now as I kind of honed my skills and my other attributes, I can really use it all. So I think I'm starting to look like an actual real 9 now. And yeah, I still have so much to improve on, but I think if I work hard enough and have that belief, I definitely think I can make that top level.
I believe it too.
Yeah.
just listening to you, it's fun to hear. So what's game day like for you? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you get scared?
I used to get really nervous, but now with more confidence, I get more confident in my game. I just wake up. I always have eggs. Always. Eggs and toast for my game day. For lunch, I used to actually get Zimberos or like a burrito. But whatever there's for lunch, you just eat that 3 hours before your game standard. Go to my game. Listen to all my favorite songs. I don't really have much of a ritual. It's kind of boring, but yeah.
Fun. And so which team this past season, did you most like competing against in the ALeague?
In the ALeague, I've only played against Melbourne City and Sydney Wanderers. I would say Melbourne City, especially how they performed against Sydney in the finals. I thought it was a completely different team, to be honest. They played so amazingly in that game. But playing against them, as soon as I got on the pitch, I was like, okay, wow. They're very fast, very physical. I have to do a lot more to get past a few people here. But yeah, I'll say Melbourne City.
Cool. When you're not playing football, what are you doing?
What am I doing? I'm either watching TV, I'm playing with my dogs, hanging out with friends. In the summer, not now, it's too cold. I go to the beach. And yeah, pretty simple. I don't like to do too much on my body. And I'm working now, so I'm doing that too.
You're working? What are you doing?
I'm a AIN in a nursing home, so I'm a carer. I wasn't able to do that in glory season because my schedule was so busy. Now in off season, I have a lot more time, so I'm doing that.
That's incredible. I mean, what do you, I mean, you're doing a lot of things and you're coming from, different places and you're different, footballing backgrounds and stuff. And what do you want people to know about female footballers?
I would just say it's just like no different to the men. You'd watch all these YouTube videos about men, you're like, wow, they're so cool, they're so funny. Girls are the exact same. You can't just think, okay, let's go shopping or something. No, we're just the exact same. We love, so a lot of girls like playing video games just like guys. So yeah, just the exact same. Maybe not the exact same. I think we're a bit better.
Cool. And I'm going to ask a question Ben wrote. What does the future hold for Tanika Lala?
Well, it's my oyster, I suppose. If I would just like to, for me, I like to just keep going to the next step. I don't think I'll ever stay still and be content. Hopefully one day I get to that point, but I want to keep improving and reaching that next level. So whatever that looks like, I'll come back 10 years.
Fantastic. Anything else?
Nothing, but that just talking about how girls are better than boys made my heart so happy.
It's true, guys. What can I say, Yeah.
Yeah. Once an episode when Ben's on, we make him blush, and now he's like turning slightly red again. It's kind of we have a signature question. We also have like a signature like Ben turning red moment.
But you know what? There's nothing you said that's not true though, because there's no difference in women's and men's football. For me, I prefer watching women's football anyway for all sorts of various reasons. But yeah, everybody can do everything if they want to. I think is the message, regardless of who you are, where you've come from. If you've got that inner thing there, whoever you are, wherever you come from, you can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And white boys from England can watch, wonderful women from Australia kick butt.
I watched my first ever game of women's football in WA. So yeah, that's where it all started.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. All right, Evie, on that note, take us away.
Thanks for listening to the Impetus podcast, where we celebrate the pride, passion, and achievements of women in football. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Until next time, thanks, Tanika.